Hello, welcome to Anshika Academy. This is the series of Tamil Nadu Board. In Tamil Nadu Board, higher secondary, second year's book, and this book has mainly 35 chapters. Chapter number 1 and cover modern Indian history and modern world history. 1 to 20 is in the modern Indian history and 21 to 35 is in the modern world history. Chapter number 1. India under the English East India Company. Warren Hastings 1772 से 1785. सेकेंड लॉर्ड कॉर्नवालिस 1786 से 1793. थ्री लॉर्ड द मार्कस ऑफ वेलेजली 1798 से 1805. फोर्थ लॉर्ड हेस्टिंग्स 1813 से 1823. पांचवा फिफ्थ चैप्टर लॉर्ड विलियम बेंटिंग 1828 से 1835. छठवां चैप्टर लॉर्ड डलहौजी 1848 से 1856. सातवां चैप्टर रेवेन्यू एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसी ऑफ द ब्रिटिश. आठवां एजुकेशनल एंड सोशल रिफॉर्म्स. नवा पलायकर रिबेलियन 10वां बेलोन म्यूटिनी. 11 द ग्रेट रिवोल्ट ऑफ 1857. 12 ब्रिटिश इंडिया आफ्टर 1858. लॉर्ड लिटन 1876 से 1880. लॉर्ड रिपन 1880 से 84. लॉर्ड कर्जन 1899 से 1905. 13वां सोशियो रिलीजियस रिफॉर्म्स मूवमेंट. 14वां इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट 1885 से 1905. 15वां इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट 1905 से 16. 16वां द इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट 1917 से 1947. 17वां रोल ऑफ तमिलनाडु इन द इंडियन नेशनल मूवमेंट. 18 द जस्टिस पार्टी रूल. 19 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल डेवलपमेंट 1858 से 1947. 20 इंडिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस. मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री. 21 रेनांसेस. 22 जियोग्राफिकल डिस्कवरीज. 23 द रिफॉर्मेशन एंड काउंटर रिफॉर्मेशन. 24 द अमेरिकन वार ऑफ इंडिपेंडेंस 1776 से 1783. 25 फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन. 26 एग्रीकल्चरल एंड इंडस्ट्रियल रिवॉल्यूशन. 27 फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वार. 28 रशियन रिवॉल्यूशन ऑफ 1917. 29 द लीग ऑफ नेशंस. 30 राइज ऑफ द फैसिज्म एंड नाजिज्म. 31 सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वॉर. 32 ग्रोथ ऑफ एशियन नेशन चाइना एंड जापान. 33 द यूनाइटेड नेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. 34 द कोल्ड वार. 35 वर्ल्ड डे. चैप्टर नंबर 1 इंडिया अंडर द इंग्लिश ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी. वॉरेन हेस्टिंग्स 1772 से 1785. There is mainly five topics in this chapter. The first, the growth of East India Company in companies. The growth of East India Company's rule in India. Second, reforms introduced by the first Governor General Warren Hastings. Third, provisions, merits and effects of the Regulating Act of 1773. 4. Expansion policy of Warren Hastings. The first Maratha War and the second Mysore War. 5th, Pitt's India Act of 1783. 6th, impeachment of Warren Hastings. The English East India Company. The English East India Company was established on 31 December 1600 as per the royal charter issued by the Queen of England Elizabeth I. The company had sent Captain Hawkins to the court of Mughal Emperor Jahangir in 1608 to secure permission to establish a factory storehouse of goods at Surat. It was turned down initially. However, in 1613, Jahangir issued the Farman permitting the East India Company to establish the first trading port at Surat. Subsequently, Sir Thomas Rao obtained more trading rights and privileges for the East India Company. Accordingly, the English set up business centers at Agra, Ahmedabad and Bharuch. Slowly, the English East India Company succeeded in expanding its area of trade. In 1640, Francis Day established the city of Madras and constructed the Fort St. George on the west coast. The company obtained Bombay on lease from their king, Charles II, for a rent of £10 per annum in 1668. By the year 1690, Job Charnock, the agent of East India Company, purchased 3 villages, namely Sutanati, Govindpur and Kalikata, which in course of time grew into the city of Calcutta. It was fortified by Job Charnock, who named it Fort William after the English King William III. The factories and trading centers which the English established all along the sea coast of India were grouped under 3 presidencies, namely Bombay, Madras and Calcutta. After the Battle of Plassey in 1757, the Battle of Buxar in 1764, The company became the political power. India was under the East India Company's rule till 1858 when it came under the direct administration of the British Crown. Robert Clive was the first governor of Fort William. Under the company's rule, he was succeeded by Verelist and Cartier. In 1772, the company appointed Warren Hastings as the governor of Fort William. Reforms of Warren Hastings. When Warren Hastings assumed the administration of Bengal in 1772, he found it in utter chaos. The financial position of the company became worse and the difficulties were intensified by famine. Therefore, Warren Hastings realized the immediate need for introducing reforms, abolition of the Dal system. The East India Company decided to act as Diwan and to undertake the collection of revenue by its own agents. Hence, the Dal system introduced by Robert Clive was abolished as a measure to improve the finances. To improve As a measure to improve the finances of the company, Warren Hastings reduced the Nawab's allowances of 32 lakhs of rupees to half that amount. He also stopped the annual payment of 26 lakhs given to the Mughal emperor. Revenue reforms. After the abolition of Dal system, the responsibility of collecting the revenue fell on the shoulders of the company. For that purpose, a board of revenue was established at Calcutta to supervise the collection of revenue. English collectors were appointed in each district. The treasury was removed from Murshidabad to Calcutta and Accountant General was appointed. Calcutta thus became the capital of Bengal in 1772 and shortly after the British India. And the Board of Revenue framed out the lands by auction for a period of 5 years instead of 1 year in order to find out their real value. The zamindars were given priority in the auction. However, certain good measures were taken to safeguard the interests of the peasants. Arbitrary cesses and unreasonable fines were abolished. Besides, restrictions were imposed on the enhancement of rent, yet the system was a failure. Many zamindars faulted the arrears of revenue accumulated. Reorganization of the judicial system. The judicial system at the time of Warren Hastings' ascendancy was a storehouse of abuses. The Nawab, who was a Theto, the chief administrator of justice, misused his powers. Often his judgments were careless. The zamindars, who acted as judges at lower levels within their own areas, were highly corrupt and prejudiced. On the whole, the judicial institution suffered from extreme corruption. Warren Hastings felt the necessity of reorganizing the judicial system. Each district was provided with a civil court under the collector and a criminal court under the Indian judge to hear appeals from the district courts to appellate courts. One for civil cases and another for criminal cases were established at Calcutta. The highest civil court of appeal was called Sadar Diwani Adalat, which was to be presided over by the governor and two judges recruited from among the members of his council. Similarly, the highest appellate criminal court was known as Sadar Nizamad Adalat, which was to function under an Indian judge appointed by the governor in council. Experts in Hindu and Muslim laws were provided to assist the judges. A digest of Hindu law was prepared in Sanskrit by learned Pandits, and it was translated into Persian and English. Translation of it Code of Hindu laws was prepared by Halhed. Trade regulations and other reforms. Warren Hastings abolished the system of dastakhaz or free passes and regulated the uniform tariff of 2.5% for Indian and non-Indian goods. Private trade by company servants continued, but within enforceable limits, whereas weavers were given better treatment and facilities were made to improve their condition. He also introduced a uniform system of prepaid postal postage system a bank was started in Calcutta. He improved the police in Calcutta and dacoits were severely dealt with. The Regulating Act of 1773. Regulating Act of 1773 opened a new chapter in the constitutional history of company. Previously, the home government in England consisted of the Court of Directors and the Court of Proprietors. The Court of Directors were elected annually and practically managed the affairs of the company. In India, each of the three presidencies was independent and responsible only to the home government. The government of the presidency was conducted by a governor and a council. The following conditions invited the parliamentary interventions in the company's affairs. The English East India Company became a territorial power when it acquired a wide domination in India and also the Diwani rights. The early administration was not only corrupt but notorious. When the company was in financial trouble, its servants were affluent. The disastrous famine which broke out in Bengal in 1770 affected the agriculturalists. As a result, the revenue collections was poor. In short, the company was the brink of bankruptcy. In 1773, the company approached the British government for an immediate loan. It was under these circumstances that Parliament of England resolved to regulate the affairs of the company. Lord North, the Prime Minister of England, appointed a select committee to inquire into affairs of the company. The report submitted by the committee paved the way for the enactment of the Regulating Act. Provisions of the Act. The Regulating Act reformed the company's government at home and in India. The important provisions of the Act were the term of office of the members of the Court of Directors was extended from 1 year to 4 years. 1/4 of them were retired every year, and the retiring directors were not eligible for re-election. The Governor of Bengal was styled the Governor General of Fort William, whose tenure of office was for a period of 5 years. A council of 4 members was appointed to assist the Governor General. The government was to be conducted in accordance with the decision of the majority. The Governor General has a casting vote in case of a tie. The Governor General in Council was made supreme over the other provinces in matter of war and peace. Provisions was made in the Act for the establishment of a Supreme Court at Calcutta, consisting of a Chief Justice and three junior judges. It was to be independent of the Governor General in Council. In 1774, the Supreme Court was established by a royal charter. This act prevented the servants of the company, including the Governor General, members of his council and judges of the Supreme Court, from receiving directly or indirectly any gifts in kind or cash. Merits and demerits of the act. The significance of the Regulating Act is that it brought the affairs of the company under the control of Parliament. Besides, it proved that the Parliament of England was concerned about the welfare of Indians. The greatest merit of this act is that it put an end to the arbitrary rule of the company and provided a framework for all future enactments relating to the governing of India. The main defects of the Act was that the Governor General was made powerless because the Council, which was given supreme power, often created deadlocks by overruling his decision. However, many of these defects were rectified by the Pitt's India Act of 1784. Expansionist policy of Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings was known for his expansionist policies. Administration witnessed the Rohilla War, the first Anglo-Maratha War, and the second Anglo-Mysore War. The Rohilla War 1774. Rohilkhand was a small kingdom situated in between Awadh and the Marathas. Its ruler was Hafiz Rahmat Khan. He concluded a defensive treaty in 1772 with the Nawab of Awadh, fearing an attack by the Marathas, but no such attack took place. But the Nawab demanded money. When Rahmat Khan invaded, the Nawab, with the help of British, invaded Rohilkhand. Warren Hastings, who sent the British troops against Rohingya, was severely criticized for his policy on Rohingya affair. First Anglo-Maratha War 1775 से 82. The Marathas were largely remained disunited since the Third Battle of Panipat 1761. The internal conflict among the Marathas was best utilized by British in their expansionist policy in 1775. There was a dispute for the post of Peshwa between Madhav Rao and his uncle Raghunath Rao. The British authorities in Bombay concluded the Treaty of Surat with Raghunath Rao in March 1775. Raghunath Rao promised to send Basina and Salsette to the British, but later, when he was unwilling to fulfill his promise, the British captured them. This section of the Bombay government was not approved by Warren Hastings. In 1776, Warren Hastings sent Colonel Upton to settle the issues. He cancelled the Treaty of Surat and concluded the Treaty of Purandar with Nana Fadnavis, another Maratha leader. According to this treaty, Madhav Rao II was accepted as the new Peshwa, and the British retained Salsette along with the heavy war indemnity. However, the Home authorities rejected the Treaty of Purandar. Warren Hastings also considered the Treaty of Purandar as a scrap of paper and sanctioned operations against the Marathas. In the meantime, the British force sent by the Bombay government was defeated by the Marathas in 1781. Warren Hastings displaced the British troops under the command of Captain Popham. He defeated the Maratha chief Mahadaji Scindia in a number of small battles and captured Gwalior. Later in May 1782, the Treaty of Salbai was signed between Warren Hastings and Mahadaji Scindia. Accordingly, Salsette and Bassein were given to the British. Raghunath Rao was pensioned off and Madhav Rao II was accepted as the Peshwa. The Treaty of Salbai abolished the British influence in Indian politics. It provided the British 20 years of peace with the Marathas. The treaty also enabled the British to exert pressure on Mysore with the help of the Marathas in recovering their territories from Hyder Ali. Thus, the British, on the one hand, saved themselves from the combined opposition of Indian powers, and on the other succeeded in dividing the Indian powers. The Second Anglo-Mysore War 1770 से 84. The First Anglo-Mysore War took place in 1767 से 89. 1767 से 69. Hyder Ali was victorious against the British, and at the end of war, a defensive treaty was concluded between Hyder Ali and the British. After 11 years, the Second Mysore War broke out, and the main causes for the Second Anglo-Mysore War, the British failed to fulfill the terms of the defensive treaty with Hyder Ali. When he was attacked by the Marathas in 1771. There was an outbreak of hostilities between the English and the French, an ally of Hyder. During the American War of Independence, the British captured Mahe, a French settlement within Hyder's territory. Hyder Ali formed a grand alliances with the Nizam of Hyderabad and Marathas against the British in 1780. The war began when the British laid their forces through Hyder's territory without his permission to capture Guntur in the northern Sarkars. Hyder Ali defeated The war began when the British led their forces through Hyder territory without the permission to capture Guntur in the northern Sarkar. Hyder Ali defeated Colonial Valley and captured Arcot in 1780. In the next year, Warren Hastings, by a clever stroke of diplomacy, divided the Confederacy. He made peace with the Nizam, won the friendship of Bhosle, and came to an understanding with the Scindia, both Marathas. Consequently, Hyder was isolated without any alliance. He was defeated by Sir Erkut at Protonovo in March 1781. In December 1782, Hyder died of cancer at the age of 60, and his death was kept secret till his son Tipu Sultan assumed power. The Second Mysore War came to an end by the Treaty of Mangalore in 1783. Accordingly, all conquests were mutually restored and prisoners on both sides were liberated. Pitt's India Act 1784. The Regulating Act proved to be the unsatisfactory document, as it failed It failed its objective. It failed in its objective in January 1784. Pitt the Younger, who became Prime Minister of England after the general elections, introduced the India Bill in the British Parliament despite bitter debate in both the houses. The bill was passed after 7 months and it received royal assent in August 1784. This was the famous Pitt's India Act. Pitt's India Act of 1784. Main provisions. The Board of Control, consisting of 6 members, was created. They were appointed by the Crown. The Court of Directors was retained without any alteration in its composition. The Act also introduced significant changes in the Indian administration. It reduced the number of the members of the Governor General's Council far from the three, including the Commander-in-Chief. Pitt's India Act constitutes a significant landmark with regard to the foreign policy of the company, as critical review of the Act reveals that it had introduced a kind of contradiction in the functions of the company. The Court of Directors controlled its commercial functions, whereas the Board of Control maintained its political affairs. In fact, the board represents the king, and the directors symbolize the company. The impeachment of Warren Hastings. The Pitt's India Act of 1784 was a rude shock and bitter disappointment for Warren Hastings. The Prime Minister's speech censured the policy of the government of Bengal was considered by Warren Hastings as a reflection on his personal character. His image and reputation was tarnished in England. Therefore, he resigned. And left India in June 1785. In 1783, Warren Hastings was impeached in the parliament by Edmund Burke and the wings of his administrative axis. Burke brought forward five charges against him. The most important of them were related to the Rohilla War, the case of Nanda Kumar, the treatment of Raja Chetra Singh of Banaras, and pressure on the Begums of Awadh. After a long trial which lasted till 1795, Warren Hastings was completely acquitted. He received pensions from the company and lived till 1818. Nanda Kumar was an influential official in Bengal. He was hanged to death by the verdict of the Supreme Court at Calcutta for a petty offence of forgery. The English law was applied in this judgment. It was contended that Warren Hastings and Sir Elijah Empley, the judge of Supreme Court, conspired against Nanda Kumar. Warren Hastings imposed a heavy penalty on the Raja Chetra Singh of Banaras for his delay in payment of tribute and deposes him in an unjust manner. The Begums of Awadh were mother and grandmother of the Nawab of Awadh. Warren Hastings helped the Nawab by sending his troops to the help of Nawab, who eschewed money from the Begums. This was a high-handed policy. Estimate of Warren Hastings. How he was a gifted personality, endowed with a strong will, great energy, and resourcefulness. His long stay in Bengal in the shadow of Mughal cultural tradition gave him enough opportunity to learn Oriental languages such as Bengali, the local language, and Persian, the diplomatic language, and to develop Oriental taste. Since he considered Indian culture as a basis for sound Indian administration, he patronized the learning of Indian languages and arts. His task was a challenging one. Since he was surrounded by hostile forces, he faced his external enemies with unflinching courage and unfailing resource, and his internal opponents with extraordinary patience and firmness. It was on the foundation which Warren Hastings laid down that others erected as stately edifice. Learning outcomes of this chapter is how the East India Company established its rule in India. The reforms of Warren Hastings, such as revenue, judicial, and trade, the purpose of the Regulating Act, its merits and defects, expansion policy of Warren Hastings, and the outcome of the First Anglo-Maratha War and Second Anglo-Mysore War. The importance of the Pitt India Act of 1784, the general achievements of Warren Hastings. Thanks for watching.